How's it going, everyone? Welcome back to the channel. I'm Gio, and in this video we're going to be talking about photo etch detail parts and how I paint mine using SMS Etch Primer. Let's check it out. Now, for those of you who are unfamiliar with photo etch detail parts, I'll just take a little bit of time out to discuss it real quick. First off, they look something like this. Very, very thin pieces of metal, usually steel, sometimes brass, and they're probably one of the easiest and most popular ways to add high quality detail to your model kits. A lot of them come with self-adhesive backings, and you're going to find that most of them have a nice shine to them. That shine looks really pretty on metallic parts, but when it comes time to painting, you may or may not want it to look that high chrome finish. And when you do want to paint them, there's a couple things to keep in mind. Now, regular paints, whether it be acrylics or lacquers, will dry on top of these parts. The only problem is they won't adhere to them. Because it's metal, paint will dry, but the moment you touch it, the moment you mask on top of it, the paint's going to flake right off, which could cause an issue on larger scale pieces. And that's when specific primers, like etching primers, are your best friend. Why do you need this? Again, if you have it on a part where you're going to mask, or it's a large piece and you want to make sure that the paint stays, then you have to etch into that metal. The same way it's a chemical process that leaves that piece so detailed, you need a chemical primer that's going to make your paint adhere to the metal. Once you're done using that photo etching primer, you'll notice that any other primer will stick to it and the paint will adhere that much better. Now, the photo etch primer that I'm going to be talking about in this video belongs to SMS. Why am I talking about SMS? There are other companies like Mr. Color that makes their own etching primers, and I'm not here to do a side-by-side comparison. The reason being is I don't think I can do a side-by-side comparison with Mr. Metal Primer because this is airbrush ready, right? Both of these can be hand painted on using a paintbrush, nice thin coats to go ahead and put it on the piece. But this I can add directly into my airbrush. I can thin it if I need to, and I got to tell you, I haven't had to. SMS actually recommends that you use like a 0.3 needle right around 12 to 15 psi, which is exactly the same as all of their paints. I've used it on a couple parts. I'm going to show you these parts. I'm going to show you why this is my go-to instead of this. And let's get into it. So as I mentioned, I'm working on the RX78-2, and I have this specific photo etching set that's built for the kit. As you can see, I've used a couple pieces already that I've tested out, and I wanted to leave some of the bigger pieces specifically for this video. Those pieces that I've already painted are actually right here. As you can see here on the backpack, nice high detail. Also on the top here, doing two tones. And to the most part, I've gotten it to paint just like I can on the plastic. Nice and smooth, no issues, no orange peeling. And the way that I've achieved that is 3 light coats of this. So I mean, look, this is 50 mLs. This is around $8 US. This is going to last me a very long time. I have lots and lots of photo etch parts here that I plan on using for future builds and this build. And this has not failed me. So you're going to see I'm going to go ahead and do 3 light passes with the etching primer. And on the first pass, I go pretty light. You'll see that the part will stop. It will lose its shine. Now this is a little extra shiny because I have this backing on it, but it will lose some of its sheen. It'll almost go to like a matte finish, and that's how I know I've put on enough. Let that sit, and I repeat that around 2 more times, and then I'll go in with my regular primer and paints, and it's going to finish off flawless. So the parts that we're going to start off with in the video are these 2 parts here. They actually go on the bottom of the feet here. So I have the foot all painted up and ready to go. They're going to fit right around these thrusters here as I continue to add more details. So there you have it, everyone. The SMS Etch Primer works exactly as it is advertised. Now, for the sake of time, I did not record myself painting each and every layer, but to let you know what I did, 3 layers of the Etch Primer, followed by about 3 layers of Mr. Finishing Surfacer 1500 White. I used white primer, obviously, for all the parts that you saw me paint yellow, and I specifically chose this primer because it is a very fine primer that's not going to clog up the fine details of the photo etch parts. Also, if you ever paint photo etch that has like mesh to it, it's really easy to clog those pieces, so just take your time, go with light passes. And then I went ahead and did about 2.5 layers of that trainer yellow to really match the vibrancy of the rest of the pieces. Lastly, you saw that I used this Elmer's Craft glue. Now this glue I chose instead of a CA glue, which works perfectly fine as well, but you only get one chance with crazy glue, and if you're putting it on parts that are already painted, you have to be precise or you're going to ruin your paint job. As you saw, I was using a toothpick, made a little bit of a mess, but it didn't really matter. This is water soluble and it also dries clear. So using a Q-tip with some water on it or a paintbrush, you can clean up any of your mess, so to speak, and you'll never know that it was ever there. That's going to wrap up this video. Thank you so much for watching. I appreciate you guys staying all the way to the end. Again, the SMS Etching Primer is available through the ScaleModelerSupply.com directly, or if you want to support me and you're already shopping at usagundamstore.com, you can go ahead and use my code GO10 and you'll save 10% on checkout. My goal is to get more SMS paints readily available here in the United States so that more of you can enjoy them. Thanks again for watching, and I'll catch you on the next one.